Now, before I begin, I have to ask, have you guys seen that amazing news story about the recovering agoraphobic crab? Oh, you haven't? We'll get there. It's quite the story. But before we do, I want you all to sit back, relax, and close your eyes. Now, I want you to envision yourselves on a beach. Maybe it's Hawaii, maybe it's Aruba, maybe it's right here in New York. I want you to feel the warm sand between your toes. I want you to hear the waves crash along the shore. I want you to smell the salty ocean breeze. And I want you to see the birds fly through the practically non-existent clouds. And then your alarm clock goes off and you're startled, and your picturesque dream is interrupted by the mundane realities of your everyday life. We feel stressed. We feel anxious. We feel like we do not control the day, but rather the day controls us. Whether it is before school or before work, before going to a meeting, an exam, a date, we've all felt that uneasy, that uncomfortable, that uncomfy feeling associated with getting up and getting out of bed in the morning. I call these radar moments. That sound, that terrible, is called radar on our iPhones. And every time it goes off, it signifies to me that I have a decision to make. Do I push forward or do I stand still? That is what I will be talking about today. Do we push forward or do we stand still? How do we get comfy? How do we get uncomfy? How do we get comfy with the uncomfy? Specifically, getting comfy is a morning routine that helps you overcome stress and anxiety when that radar sound goes off in the morning. But getting comfy also teaches you how to get comfy in your own skin. It urges you to deliberately get uncomfy, and it prepares you for any situation in life that may be outside of your comfort zone. Those are the three components of what I'll be talking about today. 1, getting comfy in your own skin. 2, getting deliberately uncomfy. And 3, getting comfy with the uncomfy. By the end of this talk, my hope for you, my dream for you, a dream as beautiful as that beach you were all just laying on, is that I will equip you with the tools necessary so that you feel excited to go about situations that scare you, to deviate from the norm, and to truly live your lives like you're on cloud 9. Just the other day, I was watching March Madness, and it was one of those blowout games. It was Houston versus Georgia State, I think. The second half was honestly really boring, so I decided to take out my phone and start scrolling through some of the dating apps. And I'm going through, and I finally find a girl who seemed like a good fit. And to my luck, we matched. Now, my roommate, Eric, at the time, happened to be looking over my shoulder. And before I messaged this girl, he said to me, "Wait, Jay, I know that girl. We went to school together." So I thought, this is great. Eric can give me all the details, answer all my questions, and we'll have something to talk about when we finally meet in person. So I asked Eric, "Is she nice?" Okay. "Is she mean?" All right. Clearly, Eric is a bundle of information. But the more I thought about that answer that Eric gave me, the more I realized that he was actually right in how he responded. I was the one asking the wrong questions. I was asking questions that defined life, that defined a person in terms of black and white. But life is not black and white. It's not binary. Life is not nice or mean. It's not good or bad. It's not right or wrong. Life is, in fact, because it leaves room for interpretation. But with that being said, I do believe that life can be binary if you consider a different set of principles. In life, I believe we're either growing or we are stuck. We are progressing or we are complacent. We are comfortable or we are uncomfortable. Comfy or uncomfy. In these radar moments when the decision you're about to make is safe, normal, average, I want you to consider this sound and ask yourself, am I staying comfy or am I getting uncomfy? I had just finished up a turkey sandwich and a chicken noodle soup from a deli on Long Island, Ben's Deli. And I also had a couple chicken fingers and some crinkle cut fries. And I also may have had a couple bites of my friend's burger. And I also may or may not have finished off his sister's chicken fingers as well. But that was it. Okay, fine. I actually had a cookie and a brownie for dessert too. But that was it, I promise. Anyway, I was about 10 years old, and I was out for some sort of celebratory lunch with my friend Eric, that same friend, his sisters, Paris and Carly, and his dad, Zach. And the service that day was fantastic, and Bruce was the kind of waiter who loved to interact. He brought Paris and Carly crayons to draw on the backs of their placemats. He talked to me and Eric about sports, and he really made us feel special. So toward the end of the meal, he came over to say his goodbyes. And he said to Zach, "So, are these three yours?" Pointing to Eric, Paris, and Carly. And me, the curious kid I chimed in with a big smile, and I said, "That's right, Bruce, how'd you know?" This next part, I will never forget. Bruce looked at Eric, then he looked at Paris, then he looked at Carly, and then he looked at me. And then he looked at Zach, and then finally, he looked at me again, and he said, "Well, them three are skinny." And oh man, do I remember that big smile getting completely wiped away from my face. I can still feel the awkwardness at the table. I remember Zach saying, "Don't worry about it, Jay. He didn't mean it like that." And looking back now, I don't think Bruce meant it like anything, but that is still what he said. That is still what I heard. I knew I was heavy, but this was the first time I heard it out loud. This was the first time I felt different. This was my first radar moment. In this radar moment, I had two options. The first option was to accept Bruce's comments, allow them to hurt me and negatively impact the person I could be moving forward. But then there was also a second approach, the approach that allowed me to get comfy in my own skin. With this second approach, I embraced who I was, and I pushed forward by being genuinely and authentically me. Growing up, I had the quadfecta. I was overweight, I had long hair and was commonly mistaken for a girl. I was cross-eyed, so I had these big blue glasses. And last but not least, my last name is Gross, so people were already saying ew before they even knew who I was. But I realized that these seemingly negative characteristics were actually my greatest assets. I was bigger than everybody else, so I excelled in athletics, becoming the #1 soccer goalie in all of New York State. My glasses made me look nerdy, so I embraced that role. I became incredibly studious, finishing in the top 5% of my high school and going on to attend Northwestern University. My last name is Gross, so everybody was already going to be laughing at me anyway, but I decided to laugh with them, and I became known as one of the funny guys. And my long hair, well, I cut it eventually, but for so long, I was known as the funny and smart athlete with the long hair. Bruce's comments attempted to define me by making me feel different. But because I embraced being different, because I deviated from the norm, I was able to get comfy in my own skin. So now that we've got comfy in our own skin, that's great. But now it's time to move on to part 2, getting deliberately uncomfy. In the greatest movie ever made, The Greatest Showman, of course, Hugh Jackman, as P.T. Barnum, says that comfort is the enemy of progress. It's great that we've gotten comfy in our own skin, but we never want to get too comfy because that is where growth is interrupted. My mindset with getting uncomfy is this: I fear the what if more than I actually fear the what. Allow me to repeat. I fear the what if more than I actually fear the what. My greatest fear in life is that on my last day on this earth, the person who I became will meet the person who I could have become. It terrifies me to think that I can go through life and miss out on opportunities because I was satisfied feeling safe, feeling average. When Sarah asked me to give this talk today, thank you, Sarah, I was on cloud 9. I could not have been more excited. I thought, a TED Talk, wow, speak in front of a live audience, I get to share my message with millions. But then I also immediately thought, a TED Talk, speak in front of a live audience, I get to share my message with millions? I was this close to telling Sarah thanks, but no thanks, because this is terrifying. Public speaking is a scary thing. It's hard to be up here in front of you guys. I definitely feel nervous. I feel a bit anxious. I feel uncomfy. So here I am faced with another radar moment. Do I reject Sarah's offer and stay comfy? Or do I get uncomfy accept Sarah's offer, and share my message with all of you. Obviously, you know which one I decided to choose. One immediate remedy I have to overcoming this uncomfy feeling is to immediately embrace the awkwardness. In presentations in the past, I have worn this exact outfit to come from a place of vulnerability. So often in public speaking, we hear the phrase, picture the audience in their underwear. But for me, if I picture myself in my underwear, I am able to understand that nothing can stop me. I can only go up from here, and I am becoming memorable and remarkable. There is nothing memorable about the unremarkable, so stand out and be unapologetically you. I know a woman, her name is Linda, and every single day she battles a disease called multiple sclerosis. Now, MS is a disease of the central nervous system that interrupts the flow of information within the brain and between the brain and the rest of the body. I was never a great science student, so in non-sciencey terms, as much as Linda wants to feel and act a certain way, her brain is often unable to tell that to the rest of her body, which can take a serious toll on her mental and physical health. In simplest terms possible, Linda's often tired and her legs don't work as well as other people's. When her children were growing up, every single morning, Linda literally experienced a radar moment. That alarm clock would go off, and she had to answer a question. Do I stay comfy cozy in my bed and use my disease as a crutch where I'm not living my life to the fullest? Or do I get uncomfy, get out of my bed to the best of my ability, and show my children how resilient, how passionate, how strong I truly am? Linda chose the latter every single day for 18 years straight, from when her oldest was 5 to when her youngest was 17. Linda got up, got out of bed, trekked down the stairs, made food, trekked back up the stairs, and then had a picnic breakfast ready on her kids' floors, giving them just enough time to eat breakfast and get ready for school. This is what I call choosing uncomfy. This is what I call being a mother. This is what I call being my mother. This woman is Linda Gross, and every day she chooses to get uncomfy for the people she loves most. So at this point, you might be thinking, how does she do it? How does my mom do it? How do I do it? You might be saying to yourself, this is all great, but how does it apply to me? I don't have kids to take care of. I don't have a message to share. I just want to perform better on my exam, or I just want to be less nervous before my presentation. And that is why this last piece of the comfy puzzle is all about implementation. A great motivational speaker named Mike Williams once said, if information alone could change people, then everybody would be rich, skinny, and happy. But we all know that is not the case. And that's why this last part is about taking action starting today or tomorrow when your alarm clock goes off. The beautiful thing about the comfy versus uncomfy paradox, the beauty of the word comfy itself, is that it's actually an acronym. That's right. COMFY is actually an acronym, and by focusing on what each letter stands for, you'll better be able to get comfy in any situation that feels outside of your comfy zone. So first, we have C, and C stands for calm. What did I tell you at the beginning of this talk? I told you to sit back and relax. When we focus on coming from a place of calm, we're able to maximize our enjoyment. Finding our inner peace through activities like yoga, meditation, deep breathing allows us to feel more present and intentional about being in the moment. Next, we have O. O stands for openness. When I put that shirt on in my talks, I am immediately opening myself up and becoming vulnerable. For you, to open up, you can either open up to yourself. You can write in a journal, write down things you're grateful for, or things you've accomplished. Or you can open up to other people. Tell them how much you love and respect them. The purpose is to get things out of here and out there into the world. M. M stands for movement. I've been moving around on the stage. It energizes my mind. It energizes my body. The importance of exercise is incredibly well documented. But for me, a walk, a jog, a weightlifting session, it literally turns on my brain and my body. Next, we have F. F stands for funny. This whole time I've been trying to get you guys to laugh. to help other people. For your why, you can learn a new language, read, write, dance, do something that you truly want to do rather than what you have to do. The final message I will leave you with is this: do not be afraid to be different. Do not be afraid to be weird. Get comfy in your own skin, get comfy in the uncomfy, and you will get comfy with your life. And by the way, if you're wondering about that recovering agoraphobic crab, well, he's now on a journey to help others break out of their shells as well. I hope he succeeds. Thank you.